Hello and welcome to another episode of the Finish More Music podcast. So today we are continuing with our theme of contribution through art, and we've got the most wonderful guest today for you. His name is Kedrick Jeffries. He's the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Texas. He's an incredibly talented musician. He's also the director of music at his church, heading up the band, the choir. It's a big job, big church where he is responsible for curating the music, for teaching the band and the choir the music, and for setting the tone, if you like, and the emotion and staying current and on trend with the music. It's a really fascinating topic that we're going to dive into. And the thing that really stood out to me about Kedrick since I've known him is that he leads from a place of serving from heart. Everything is about people coming into his world in whichever capacity it might be, with the creativity, the music, or through the mentoring that Big Brothers Big Sisters does for young people here in the US and helping them to fulfill their potential. Everything in Kedrick's mind is about people leaving differently from how they arrived into his world and leaving in a more positive light, which I think is absolutely wonderful. And I don't know about you, and I'd be keen to hear from you on Instagram at I am Keith Mills. Hit me up with a DM. What are your reflections about these conversations and guests that we've had? Because this is the first time we've done something where we've focused on a specific topic, and one that we haven't spoken about massively on the podcast in the past. And also we've had some guests that we wouldn't typically have had on either, because we've mainly focused on DJs, electronic music producers, and in Mark Turk and Kedrick Jeffries, we have people who are musicians who have focused such a large part on their life, on impacting other people through creativity, art, mentoring, and so on. For me, my experience in listening to as well Tony Coleman, Mark Allen, because they've been talking specifically about contribution. I have found through the language that they use and the way they view the world and their different backgrounds and experiences, it's really enriched the way that I think about creativity. It's altered my perspectives for the better. It's altered my ideas on contribution, how I can impact other people, what I can offer. And of course, what comes back full cycle, how I can grow and then how I can offer more. I found it to be wonderfully enriching, and that these conversations have opened up the narrative and the sort of ideas that we have on this podcast, and is really opened things up for the better. So I'm keen to explore more topics, bringing more people from different backgrounds. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Is it similar to me? Is it different, better, worse? Please do let me know. So this conversation is following on exactly in the vein of the last three, incredibly enriching. We talk about following your calling, and I promise you I didn't prompt it. You would think I might have done, given that we've had an entire series on following your calling. I didn't. So you'll see how it naturally entwines into creative people's minds and in people who go out to impact and change the world. Following your calling, following your passion. We've talked about the universal language of music in this episode and the power that it has to uplift communities and scenes and revitalize them, and how it doesn't matter what your background is, what country you come from, what language you speak, what religion you are. Music can bond us all together and bring people together and uplift people. And we also talked a lot about the idea of how we can start small and helping just one person, and what a ginormous difference that can make. How we can grow and we can learn alongside them, how through our differences we can grow and learn, and how this impact starts to filter out on a global basis. Now, that might sound really grandiose. If I garner out one person, I'm having some kind of global impact. What, really? Are you sure? Well, I challenge you to think differently after you've listened to this episode. And ultimately, you are going to be listening to a man who's built his life around contribution and has helped thousands and thousands of people in his career and through his music. So he's done the thing. Do the thing, have the power. So have a listen. Let me know your thoughts. I think this is the most wonderful conversation. I left it full of energy and vibrancy. It's Kedrick Jeffries, and let's get stuck in. Kedrick Jeffries, welcome to the Finish More Music podcast. So pumped to have you here.
Oh man, I'm excited, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Keith.
It's it's an absolute joy and a privilege because I know that you've built your life around contribution, and so to have you here to be able to share your experience. I know you're passionate about music as well. I'm really keen to dive into everything from your history up until kind of what you're doing now, and perhaps that would be a good place to start so that people can get a real picture of what you do. So you work at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yes.
Yeah, t-shirt on on display as well. So perhaps if we could start with what your role is and what Big Brothers Big Sisters does.
Yeah. So my name, well, you got my name already. So, but my role here at Big Brother Big Sisters of Central Texas, is I'm the chief executive officer. My role here is just to bring the resources and the opportunities and the options into our agency that we can serve more young people. And by when I say serving more young people, serving our community by way of mentorship. We try to match caring adults with young people who need just some reinforcement in certain areas in their lives, not negatively, but more so positively. It's not a punitive thing, or it's not, it's not to be looked at upon or as something bad. But to have somebody in their life at certain seasons in their life to say, "Hey, I got your back. I'm a listening ear." Today, one day there might be a coach, the next day they're a tutor, the next day they're a friend. It's meeting the need of a young person wherever they are and helping them reach their full potential in life. That's what we do. That's our business, is helping young people be the best person they can be in the future.
And as an organization, Big Brothers Big Sisters is huge, right? What's the scope? Is it every state in the US and overseas?
Yeah, we do cover all 50 states. Yes, we Hawaii and Alaska. And so our scope is every agency, like my agency, I'm Central Texas. There are some who cover, like one agency might cover a whole state. Then there are some where, like in Texas here, we're broken up into different regions. And so, there's different ones, but we're all over the country. And so we're proud to say that we do cover all 50 states.
Some amazing. It's such a huge impact. And in terms of the young people that sign up to have a mentor, what kinds of backgrounds do they typically come from?
Underserved, underrepresented many times, a lot of single parent homes. There are still people in our program, young people in our program that come from two-parent homes. So yeah, primarily we serve African American and Hispanic is the main population of the kids in our program. And there is no uh, requirements or criteria. If a parent wants their kid to be in our program, they can be in our program. We don't look at how much money a family has or does not have, or what part of town they live in, or anything like that. Whosoever will, let them come. If they want a mentor, we'll do our best to try to find them a mentor.
That's amazing. How do people typically find out about your organization to know to sign up?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. Word of mouth is one, that's probably, that's tried and true. We do have, all the normal social media platforms and so forth like that. But also one of the biggest things most recently, we had an ad in the Super Bowl nationally. And so that brought a lot of attention to our agency. And so we're grateful for that. But because, just with the way the world is, advertising costs. And so we're a nonprofit. So we can't just be on everybody's TV and radio station all the time. So we do rely heavily on like social media and word of mouth and parents and doing good work. I'm learning is its own marketing tool. When you do good work and you're serving people from the heart, it does do its own motivation and self-marketing.
Oh, love that. There's definitely some stuff I'm going to want to explore there for sure. Um, in terms of the mentors, so as you mentioned, it's pairing up the young people from potentially underprivileged, underserved backgrounds who predominantly are the young people who sign up and their families. In terms of the mentors, who are they? Where do they typically come from?
They come from all different walks of life as well. To be a mentor, you have to be 18, have a car, uh, and pass our background checks and things like that because we want to keep our young people safe. That's priority number one. But the main thing I tell people is if you have the heart to do it, we'll teach you the rest. If you have the willingness to pour into a young person's life, we can give you the tools and the avenues to be successful in that endeavor. That's kind of how I tell people how to get involved because a lot of people all the time say, "Well, I'm just an average Joe, and I don't know if I have much to offer a young person." But it's bigger than that. What I say it like this because they're coming from their background and this mentor and they're coming from two different backgrounds, right? But what happens is now when they get linked together, there becomes an appreciation for their differences uh, you know, because they're probably not on the same side of town. They're maybe not the same ethnically from the same background. Maybe different economic uh, diversity. But what it does, it gives an appreciation to both sides of what the other one, how they came to be where they are. And when you start to do that, it really was one person at a time will change the world. I believe that there will be less racism. There'll be less bias because now we're having an appreciation for how we're different. There's nothing wrong with being different, but let's embrace our differences, and then we'll see where we are in life as well. And it grows into a beautiful relationship.
Amazing. I hadn't actually thought about that, the celebrating of differences. That's really, really powerful. The I was of course thinking about the benefits to the littles. So we've got the bigs as the mentors, the littles as the mentees. Um, let's dive into that a little bit more if we can. In terms of the littles, I know I think it's 6 years old is the
6 to 18.
six to 18, and then even after that, and we'll talk about big futures, let's talk about that in a second and stay in this one lane. The 6 to 18 year olds, obviously you've been around this program, and again we'll dive into your background because you've really spent a life contributing in terms of big brothers big sisters. What do you see as the sort of real world benefits that the littles are gaining from having mentors in their life, and particularly as you mentioned, the differences, whether it's ethnic differences from a
Hmm.
geographically potentially, and also economically, and I'm sure there are whole other things we could discuss about there. What do the littles take away from that? What are some of the success stories?
Oh, hey, now this I can do all day. I can tell you about that. But some of the main just highlight benefits, I think I tell you this, and it goes. So the U.S. Department of Treasury and Harvard University, two reputable entities, got together recently in the last I don't know how long ago, but the study just came out recently to say this, that they look back over 30 years. The Department of Treasury has went back into 30 years and did some research or former littles, right? And what they found out is that looking in their tax returns, that the littles, overwhelming majorities from the past, the majority of them in their tax returns and in their earnings in their life are more closely aligned with the mentor they had than the home that they came from.
Wow.
So is one as an economic return on investment when you become when working with us. But these littles, that's one thing. There's also avenues to get scholarships when you get out of high school. Now there's other opportunities. There are like workforce uh, things that would kind of I tell people it's options and opportunities. If we give young people options and opportunities, the sky's the limit for them. So if everybody doesn't go to 4-year college, but let's help them figure out what they want to do in life. Whatever their next steps are in life, we want to be a bridge to help them get it and help them achieve their goals. So, just to say that is any one thing that we do, I couldn't really just pinpoint it because every young person is different. So we help them in different ways. But I think just number one, understanding the world from a different view is probably one of the best things we could give a young person because so often people just know that they know their zip code, they know their side of town, but they don't know what's across town or what's outside of this city. And when you bring them together, now you're exposing this young person to what else is outside waiting on them and how they can achieve those things.
That's really powerful. And that grows, of course, because the second that we are exposed to something that's different to what we're used to, we have all of these beliefs of what life is like, the world is like, people are like, we are like. And then all of a sudden, oh, hang on a minute, there's something that challenges that. There's a whole new perspective and world over here. And that then opens up the question of, oh, okay, so there's probably other perspectives and other worlds, and I can start questioning things a little bit more now rather than, whatever I'm told or I've seen being a fact. Actually, I can open my mind up, perhaps not the internal conversation, but one's mind opens up to all of the different possibilities and the acceptance of people. And I'm imagining there's a lot of empathy that gets grown as well, and social contribution as a result. Real quick, how regularly do littles, once they go past 18 years old themselves, apply to be mentors?
I would say not enough. But we do have a growing alumni base. When I say that, just people who repaying or paying it back, paying it forward. I guess you can pay it back or paying it forward. Just investing in another young person just because they understand the true benefit of what it did for them and want to see it happen again for somebody else. I guess it happens frequently, but just maybe not enough.
Yeah, well, you're ambitious, I can tell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Grow the metrics across the board. And in terms of the mentors themselves, you mentioned that they also have the benefit of seeing differences in a different world that perhaps they didn't have their eyes open to. What other benefits and things do people who engage in the program as a mentor typically when they're having a conversation with you or a member of your team? What are the kind of things that they're saying about the impact that the experience has on them?
The biggest thing that I hear across the board is that little came into my life, and I thought I was gonna be the one mentoring them, but I ended up being the one getting more out of this relationship. I hear that time and time again that the little impacted them greater than they probably impacted the other way around. And so it just that appreciation again, but that's the number one thing I hear. This little changed my life, made me a better person, and just yeah, flipped it on me. I thought I was gonna be the one doing the mentoring and the imparting the knowledge and all the implanting stuff but it planted the seed the other way around. But they water each other, and so but yeah, that's what I hear the most.
Yeah, I can imagine it. It's interesting because I've had a number of other guests talking about contribution, and that is a recurring theme throughout all of the conversations is leading from a place. And to go back to that note, serving from heart was your phrase, which I loved. Serving from the place of how can I help and not what's in it for me. Typically the what comes back is far greater. So going out into the world being selfless, and actually the return on that is ginormous. It's the byproduct of serving from a place of heart.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. That it's yeah, just, being having a servant's heart, and just being available, and is that's one of it. If you have an open heart and a willing mind, the rest of it will work itself out. I believe.
So on that note, if we jump back, when did you first discover that this was you serving, someone who served from a place of
Yeah,
heart? When did you get involved in helping? Maybe it was prior to helping young people, I don't know, but when did you get involved in this?
yeah. I started in being when I knew, oh my God, this is 2025. So in 2004, so it's been 20 years plus now. I started working for Communities in Schools, CIS. It's another youth serving organization, and I was blessed enough to go work and do it at my old high school. And so it kind of was really, I think that's what really solidified it for me. I was helping my community, helping students, and people, that I actually knew or knew that were related to these young people. But it's started helping young. It was about, if you don't know about CIS, they're inside of schools, hence communities in schools, and they meet young people in small groups and individually, kind of case management, helping them, matriculate through school. And I was doing that, and for 2 years, and I was kinda like, "Well, I like working with young people, okay." But so often, though, working on grants, grant funding goes away, so the program went away. So I started working, doing after-school programming, for Austin ISD, and did that for a couple years, further fanning the flame of youth development, youth advocacy, and just continue to do that, working after school programs and just being engaged with young people. I worked in Austin ISD and Pflugerville ISD during that span. Then I found myself at the Boys and Girls Club, really working with kids every day. I was a site director when I first started, their club director, and enjoyed it. Really got to see these young people uh, enjoy being in a program that cared about them, and that makes a difference. When young people know you care about them, they'll give you their heart. They'll do anything for you, in a safe space. And so being able to do that, for a while was great. And worked my way up. Eventually I became like COO at the Big Brother, I mean Boys and Girls Club, and found myself really being able now to make wholesale changes or a wholesale impact in how we approach, in our effectiveness to meet the needs of the community and young people here in Austin. And so that I've been hooked ever since. I tell people all the time I came uh to community schools and Boys and Girls Club here. I came for a job, but I found a calling. And so I just found this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I do best. And the older I get, I can't find too late to try to change, do something else. So I had to make this work too. And so, but I like working with young people. I think I've been blessed because every job I've had, I'm from Austin, and so I get to do this job in my community. The Boys and Girls Club, their office is in the zip code I grew up in, right? This my building right now where you're talking to me at, it's in the zip code I grew up in. And my dad lives 2 blocks away. And I used to live in some apartments with my mom. If I hit my driver hard enough, I can hit it here 300 yards away from here, you know? So I'm doing this every day in the place I grew up. And there's no more rewarding feeling. It's always rewarding to make an impact, but to do it right where I grew up, it just compounds it.
It's incredible. I've scribbled that down as well. Came for a job, found a calling. Incredible, incredible. In terms also of your background, I know that music has, played a big part for you. Um, talk me through that. What got you into the bug of
Yeah,
music
so
and what your
yeah,
practice
so
is?
you hear this all the time in African American culture. Everybody starts off in music in church, right? We all start in church. And so I did too. In my local church, my uncle was the minister of music, meaning he was over all the music department, the choirs and the music. And I had an aunt who played the piano. My mother was in the choir. And so by default, I guess I got put in the youth choir maybe 4 or 5 years old. So I started off in the choir singing, and then I was always in choir in elementary and middle school and high school, and more competitive nature, community choirs. But I didn't start playing, but then I started playing piano, uh, like in my senior year of high school, kind of late in the game. And how in our world, like in the church world, we would say it's just a gift. Like I've never taken a lesson, right? I'm self-taught. but because I was in choir, I knew how to read music, so it made it a little easier for me. But a lot of the things that came to me was just trial and error and just God given ability and putting the time in to make the gift grow. But yeah, music has been a part of my life as long as I can remember and probably will always be. Aside from being here at this job now serving as CEO, now serve as the servant leader of the music department at my church. So I'm over in music now. I have a whole band, and I'm teaching choir on a weekly basis. I'm teaching music, so it's ingrained in me. I can't get away from it. When I'm sad, I'll listen to something to lift me up. And if I'm in this kind of mood, I can listen to music. So music just in me is a part of me.
I didn't realize that you were, did you say it was music director at your church? Was that
Yeah.
the term?
Mhm.
I didn't realize that. That's okay. That's cool. So, wow, super ingrained in music the whole time. What do you feel being engaged in this creative pursuit in the act of creating music, and we'll sort of get to the directing the music piece as well. How has that impacted you as a human being? What has music and being involved in it given you? Let's put it that way.
Oh man, it's the true thing that music is a universal language. I might not can speak Spanish or French or Italian, anything, or even Swahili, or just anything. But each of these nationalities has their own sound. They have music that is who they are. When you hear it, you think that. Um, I have an appreciation for all music, rock and roll, blues, country. I have an appreciation for it. Even foreign music, like I was just naming, that can break down barriers when almost nothing else can. Music, it can uplift a community. It can, it can do anything. I think music is unlimited. And as the music continues to evolve, it just I keep watching the power of music. But what it's done for me has opened doors. It has got me in some places, in some rooms that I probably never would have got in had I not been a musician. It is I've seen it bring me, uh, uplift me and keep me encouraged. I've seen it, keep me going. Music has done a lot for me, and so I actually don't know where I would be sometime without music.
And when it comes to being the director of music at your church, obviously when it comes to the choir and so on, there'll be young people who you're, sort of helping and maybe encouraging and supporting and so on and so forth. What does that role look like? I'm kind of curious about getting people engaged in music and so on and so forth at your church. And another quick question, because as you know, I come from the UK, and churches in the UK are quite vanilla a lot of the time. Let's put it that way. But I've seen, on the TV and YouTube clips, sometimes the churches here in the US are absolutely bouncing with the music. Kind of, what's the vibe at your church?
Yeah, mine is more of the what you kind of think of. Definitely not vanilla. I've been blessed. I have a wonderful music department. It has a great history. Let me say, I inherited already great music department. The people who had came before were phenomenal leaders, and so I didn't have to do much, but just continue the tradition. But you say like youth in church, it's like yeah, I have the whole spectrum of ages, right? Different choirs. So meeting them where they are, giving them the music that is more applicable to their demographic and that they can receive and understand and minister it as well. But with our young people having to meet them where they are, but still teach them the traditional things of the church and in music that make our demographic as what we call Black Baptists. That makes us who we are. Hymns of the church, certain traditional songs of the church. Trying to make sure these young people continue to hold on to these things because as with anything and time and technology and just modernism, there are a lot of churches who don't do some more of the traditional, music as much. And so I try to ride the line of giving some old and some new. Um, but yes, I've been blessed musically to have I have probably one of the bigger bands around. I have horns, I have a trumpet, sax, trombone, guitar, bass player, drums. The guy plays the congos, uh, drummer, I said that. I got a MD on the keyboard and I got an organist. Yeah, that's it. That's a lot.
That is a lot. And so you just mentioned, which was interesting, about kind of introducing new music into the church as well. What else do you do as your role of director? I'm sort of imagining, obviously the band is playing weekly, maybe more than weekly. You're organizing it. What exactly is required for you to get it working?
My week is it's I'm having to pick the music, so all the music that happens in service comes from, I guess, in theory, my brain. I do all the music in the service, picking appropriate music for appropriate moments of service. So being sensitive to the tenor of the church and where we are in our current climate and the current mood and the feel of the vibe of the church. So understanding where we are, who we are, what movement, but a lot of my music and has to come in coordination with having conversation with my pastor about where he's trying to take the church as well. Make sure we're in alignment. But yes, I have to come up with it, teach it. I have a very capable music director who was over the band. So I had to give him the music, and then he transcribes it and does all these things to make sure they have it. So it's an intricate process on a weekly basis. We have to churn this out week to week to week to week, and it's you have to be. I just honestly, you have to be pretty talented. I would say because when we get these recordings that we're going to do on Sunday, these guys had 3 months to practice this live recording, and they might have had 2 or 3 takes. We got it in a week and we got to knock it out and, do the same thing the next week. So it's a hard job. People don't really realize it. Like they like, oh, you just sit there and play. Like, nah, the guys on the record had weeks to do this. We got a week to learn it and perfect it. So, yeah.
Incredible. And I particularly love that you're responding to whatever's happening. There's something the pastor wants something, or maybe there's, as you mentioned, uplifting the community. So it's like the music is a narrative to what's happening in the circumstances as well, and providing that important emotional connection. And in terms of in fact, everyone, it doesn't have to just specifically talk about the young people who are involved in the church choir or band. What impact do you see it having on them and on the people who come to church, the people who are actually
Oh
there
yeah.
for the
No, I'm
service?
glad yeah. So the young people like in our choir, in our youth, you know, they want music that they identify with, right? And the older I get, the more disconnected I become. I just get to be an old man. Like my daughter's actually in the choir. She's like, Dad's like, that's an old song. I'm like, look, I'm doing the best I can, right? Um, but it is trying to find the music that is engaging enough for them that they receive it. Because in my world, there's a message in all of the music in gospel music. So are they receiving the message first internally, and then when they turn around to minister to people to do the song, are they able s- to effectively message the message, right? Can they turn that around and do that? So that's an intricate piece to the dynamic of church music. And then the people that come in the congregation, I my job is twofold, is to I always tell people I never want people to leave church the same way that they came. If they came with a heavy heart, got something on their mind, they had a long week at work or a fight with a spouse or just financial issues, whatever it is, I want to be able the music to encourage them to fight on another week, right? Until they come back again. I want them not to leave the same way that they came. And the second part of that is that the music is right before the sermon. And so am I warming up the oven, right? Because the main dish is the sermon. That's why people really come. So, trying to make sure that my pastor's not walking out onto, into to a cold oven, right? That is already warm, it's preheat. It's pretty, and so they're ready to receive what he had to say. So that's kind of my job in a synopsis.
Absolutely brilliant. And when you just said for the people to the congregation not leave in the same way that they came, you mentioned that something similar to that earlier when we were talking about big brothers, big sisters, and about young people being able to fulfill their full potential. And so again, and people, even the mentors coming in and growing, I'm picking up a strong sense from you that it's very much about changing lives. It's your whole piece is to improve other people's lives. Would that be fair? Is there anything else that's driving or motivating? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Nah, I would have you picked up on it. I wouldn't have really thought about it. I think because it's just what I've been doing in my life for the last 30 years. It's just who I am. So I didn't think, but I just think, oh, I sometimes I do separate the two, like, oh, I'm a musician today and I'm a CEO today. But I guess if you holistically, yeah, I want the world to be a better place, and I try to do it one person at a time, or the pieces that I'm responsible for, that God has put me in charge of, and given me opportunity here, to be a good steward, of that while it's my season. I know to everything in life is a season, but so while it's my season to make impact, I want to make the biggest impact that I can.
It's fantastic. So I think that's a good segue into it's big futures, right? Which is the after the mentoring program, we then get the sort of 17, 18 up to about 25. So it's continuing to make change. What is that program? What does that deliver for young people?
So big future. So this is still relatively new in the world of Big Brothers Big Sisters as a whole. But so often, a kid would be in our program a little, and then at 18, it just hey, good luck. We got you this far. Hope you got it. But there is a need, to everybody, let's just say everybody matures at a different rate, and some people need more guidance and more guardrails, right, to help them along the way. And so here comes big futures, from helping 18 to 25 years. If you can think back those years in your life, and I can think back to, I think I made the most mistakes in my life in that time frame. And most people do, right? We're still, either you think you know it all, or you thought you trying all these things, you out your parents' house, or whatever it is. And so you can make some real setbacks in your life if you don't have guidance. The guidance is what we try to um to try to help with. If it's, say it's okay, so hey, you didn't want to go to 4 year school. Well, what are you doing with yourself? How can we help you be still the best productive citizen that you can be? And how do we help you do that? If you want to go to trade school, let's do it. If you just, whatever it is, but we want you to be productive, right? 18 to 25. If we can set you up in those years, we know where you're going from there because your foundation is so solid. I think about it like this: in bowling, right? On the kitty lane, they had the bumpers, right? They come up, So if you add what we are bumpers, right? Now I tell you this: you roll that ball down there, I can tell you this: at the end of the day, it's not gonna go in the gutter. Might not get a strike, but you ain't gonna go in the gutter. So we're bumpers. Hey, you with us? We're gonna keep you in the lane. Now I can't say you're gonna be president or you're gonna be the CEO of a Fortune 500, but I know you. If you stick with us, you won't be in the gutter. Your life will not be in shambles. So that's what we do.
And in that program, are the young people still continuing with their mentor? Does something else happen at that point?
It's kind of twofold. They could continue with their same mentor, or then we're also trying to add layers. So if you're curious about a certain vocation, we're going to try to find you some avenues into that vocation. So maybe it's more workplace mentorship, so to speak. But yes, they still are connected with their original mentor if they so choose to, because it's a process. You have to elect to put yourself be into big futures, because now you're an adult, right? You're 18. Mama put you in it when you were, 5, or, 8 years old, so you had to do it. Now you have an option. So if you elect to put yourself in this, now we're taking these steps with you and being very have some concerted effort in your future and where you're headed.
So far, everything we've spoken about is amazing. Absolutely brilliant. It's really positive. I'm imagining there are challenges that you experience as an organization. What are some of the things that are sort of the roadblocks that make it difficult for you to change people's lives and match people up and so on and so forth?
I mean, number one, I'm gonna tell you, it's always money. We can always use more money. Money is a key factor. We're a nonprofit, so every dollar that we spend, we have to raise. We have partnerships with some entities and things like that, but we could always use more. The second biggest thing, or maybe one A and one B, I just need more bigs. I need more mentors. I have 200 young people on a waiting list that are waiting for mentors, and so that's probably hindrance number two, not having enough. And so we have the staff here that will get you through the process, but we can't we don't always know where they are. So when they come, we try to make the most of it. But that's number two. Then and also regional. In our city, our current climate it's very expensive to live in Austin, Texas, if people didn't know. And so the distance becomes greater where some of our mentors are. I mean, mentees are, or prospective mentees, like further on the fringes of outside of Travis County now, like in Hutto and, further up Williamson County. And it just keeps continuing to, do like that because that's what families can afford to live at now, right? Because living in Austin proper it requires some serious coin, and so that's just another hindrance. But yeah, those top three off just top of my mind.
On that note, what do people do if someone's listening to this and they're like, gosh, you know what, this sounds amazing. I'd love to be taught by a little and help them sort my life out. But if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, you know what, I'd love to be involved in this. And as you know, the podcast is Finish More Music. So predominantly, not exclusively, we have people who are tuning into the show who do music and they might want to be able to share that as well in young people's lives. What is the process to get involved? Because you can live in any state in the US. And is BBBS overseas as well?
No, not yet,
Not
not
yet.
yet,
Okay.
not yet, not yet. You can start it though. You can be the first. When you go back to the UK, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, but how people will get involved and even like all over the country, you can go to oh god, what is the you start with my website and then they're gonna link you to the rest of them. I think bbbsa.org, right? Big Brother Big Sisters of America. There you go. I'm like, what is it? bbbsa.org. And it'll tell you where all of the agencies are and affiliates around the country. So if you can hear my voice, I promise you there's some young person in the community where you are near you that would love to have and engage in a friend and a mentor just like you. If you do have something to offer, I promise you, and you will receive just as much in return.
Amazing. Really, really cool. And on that note as well, just outside of Big Brothers Big Sisters, in everyday life for people, as I mentioned, you're someone who leads from the heart, you contribute to people, and it's clear in so many aspects of your life. If people are looking to contribute more, whether it's through the music that they write, or just in general in society, what are easy routes in? What things could you recommend that
Man,
people might
I
think of
tell
doing?
I tell people, yeah, even if it's not meant, youth advocacy or something, figure out the thing that is your passion project or the thing that you love that stirs your heart. If you see it on TV and it emotionally can move you to make you happy or sad if something is negatively happening, like maybe to pets, right? If you're a pet person, right? Then that's probably something you could really get behind. And so often just find the thing that speaks to you. There's so many nonprofits and so many causes around this country, some music related and some not music related. But the more that people pour into their local communities in some way or some fashion, it just starts to make the world a better place. So I would just say start with the things that mean something to you or your beliefs or and your family or your heritage or what have you, and start there, and then that will probably put you in a network of other like-minded people or to figure out maybe what the next step is.
Love it. It's a very much back to that idea of your calling, I guess, in a way. If you listen and you're open to receiving whatever it is that is moving you and stirring you emotionally, then that is a guiding light to go and explore. And I love how you put that. You'll start to meet people, and conversations will start to happen, and you'll find different ways that you can contribute based on the things that light you up the most.
Yeah. You'll find community. If you Once you find community, then you'll find your way through it.
Amazing. Well, look, my gosh, that was incredible. Thank you so much for sharing so much. There were just so many takeaways that I've had from your calling and the community and the contribution. And you've got a wonderful way with words, Kedrick. I could listen to you talking about things all day, to be honest. That and the tone of your voice as well. It's like you're super, super engaging. So I wanted to say a huge thank you to you for jumping on the show. Is there anything coming up at the moment, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, events, anything that you want to shout out that people can get involved in?
So glad you asked. s- April 25th and 26th, we have our Bowl for Kids event here in Austin, Texas, at Highland Lanes. It's Friday evening and Saturday, kind of most of the morning and early afternoon. It's a bowling fundraiser. We just have people put together teams, have some fun with some colleagues or friends or family, what have you, and all in support of mentorship and Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Texas. That's in a month and a half or so, but that's the next big thing we got coming up. And so if anybody would love to participate that hearing this or seeing this, bigmentoring.org. Go to our website, tell them Kendrick sent you, and they'll do the rest.
Amazing. So there's the event to be involved in, and then obviously for anyone who's interested in just finding out a bit more about being a mentor, they can visit the website and there's resources and information on there. And then, of course, reach out to your team or one of the teams in another agency, and you'll be guided through the process and have the first steps are like an initial conversation, right?
For sure. I can tell people they can email me if they live in Idaho and they're seeing this and they don't know what their next step is, or if they're right across the street and I don't even know they live there. KJEFFRIES at bigmentoring.org. Email me directly, however you want to get involved. I will point you in the right direction, either here or the next state over. But if you want to get involved, I'll help you get involved.
Love it. Love how approachable you are as well with this. Obviously, a CEO, and you're just like, look, one person, whoever it is, whoever you are, reach out. I want to make this happen. I think that's absolutely wonderful. What a heartwarming message, and so much brilliant advice that you've shared. As I said at the top, I was delighted to have you on the podcast, and you've delivered in spades more than I even imagined. And everything about the music and being the director at the church as well was really, really insightful. So huge thank you from me for being a guest on this show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man. And in our conversations already, you're so engaging and easy to talk to too. So this was easy. Yeah, this was easy, man. I appreciate it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, and let's catch up again on the show in the future, because I know it's a fast moving world, and you're always looking at new avenues, and we're exploring doing some things together, which is really exciting as well. So I'm sure there'll be some exciting updates in the future.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it, man.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
All right now. Bye bye.